home Wi-Fi access control. Two things are vital to keeping your network safe: proper settings and prudence. The first step is easy. You just need to adjust the settings on your router once. The second step, however, requires more effort. When you're online, you'll need to be prudent about your online activities. So step 1, encrypt your Wi-Fi network. Give your Wi-Fi network, identified by its SSID, a string of characters, a password, so ideally, only those users you know and trust can access your network. This password should be hard to guess, but easy to remember and type. The password should be at least 8 characters long and should include both numbers and letters. And if your router lets you use passwords with spaces, even better. Now, depending on the router, this password will be referred to you in your web interface, either as the encryption key, the passkey, the pre-shared key, or the passphrase. The exact settings menu where you determine your password will vary as well. You'll also need to consider which industry standards your router supports. There are 3 current standards, from strongest to weakest: the WPA2, the WPA, and the WEP. Though the WPA2 is more secure, at present, the WPA is more compatible with more client devices. 2, and change your important default settings. A router comes with many default settings. Since those are set by the vendor, they are public knowledge. Using the default settings may help you make the setup process easier, but also makes your router more susceptible to unauthorized access. The 2 settings that you should change to keep your router safe are its default IP address and the default login password. Log into your router's administrative console. Most consumer-grade routers feature setup and configuration via web browser. In order to access your router's configuration settings, you usually need to do so by opening a browser window and entering the address of your router. This address is usually a non-routable IP address that can't be seen from the internet. Examples of what your router's address might be include http://192.168.0.1, or a couple others. Check your router's manufacturer's website for the details on what your default admin address is for your router. Once you have entered the correct address, you'll be prompted for the administrator username and password. Again, the default username and password should be available on the router's maker website. If you have changed it and can't remember it, you may have to reset your router. This is usually done by holding down the small reset button on the back of the router for 30 seconds or more, depending on the brand of the router. 2, go to the access controls or firewall configuration page. Once you've gained access to the router, you'll need to locate the access restrictions page. It may be located on the firewall page, but some routers have it in its own separate area. Now you'll be able to establish a rule for blocking access to a specific domain or website. All routers are different and may or may not have the ability to set up access restrictions. You will want to create an access policy to block the certain site that you don't want your child to have access to. Many routers offer website blocking by URL address, where you can enter in a site's domain such as youtube.com, or even a specific page. Start by naming the access policy by entering a name such as block YouTube in the policy name field, and choose the filter as the policy type. Some routers offer scheduled blocking, so that you can even block a site between certain hours, such as those when your child should be doing their homework. If you want to use the schedule option, you can set the days and times when you want the blocking to occur. The router may state that it needs to reboot in order to enforce this new rule, and it may take several minutes for the rule to be implemented. Another thing you can do is set router enforced time limits for internet access control. Most routers have a setting in which it gives you the ability to cut off access at a certain time of day. I mean, you lock your doors at night, right? So do the same for your internet connection. Go into your wireless router setup and turn off your internet connection from midnight to 5 in the morning. The kids should be sleeping during this time anyways. Time limits also prevent hackers from being able to attack your network during the set time frame. Now you've effectively isolated yourself from the rest of the internet during the hours when most hackers are just starting their second can of Red Bull. Now you'll want to scan for unsecured wireless access points near your home. You'll use the Wi-Fi search feature of your Wi-Fi enabled cell phone or laptop to see if there are any Wi-Fi hotspots that are open near your house that your child could connect to. It's best if you do the search from inside their bedroom or wherever they normally get online from. Usually you'll be able to determine where the hotspot is originating by just looking at the signal strength meter as you walk around the room. Talk to your neighbor, explain your objective, and ask them to protect their Wi-Fi access point. It not only helps you enforce your parental controls, but it also helps people from getting a free ride courtesy of their unsecured Wi-Fi hotspot. Another option is to put the PC in an open area of the house that is well frequented. If the PC is in a well frequented area where you can see it, your kids are less likely to attempt to go to unauthorized sites. Now, your kids may love having their PC in their room, but consider moving it to somewhere less private so you can keep an eye on what's going on. Another thing is enabling activity logging on your router or PCs. Now, your child will most likely figure out how to cover their tracks by deleting their browser histories or enabling their private browsing mode, where no history is kept. Now, the best thing you can do is to purchase a monitoring software that is not easily defeated or detected by your child. Periodically review the log files to make sure your kids are staying out of trouble. Another option is enabling the activity logging on your wireless router. Logging at the router will allow you to capture connection information even when your child is using their mobile devices or game consoles, unless they are using another wireless access point other than yours. We hope this information assists you in ensuring your child's safe use of social media and the internet.